So we can start basically creating a profile for the technical program lead with the tokenomics side, and that or other individuals can come up with the bounties that we need to actually launch the network. Probably we should probably define how many coordinators are needed.
Can I just make a point regarding how many coordinators are required? That doesn't sound like it's a polling question. We're not asking for an opinion. Surely that's a technical question that needs to be answered by technical people on a technical consensus, not a polling, not a vote. But also, depending on how full a coordinator is, how many transactions it can process per second, and how good its bandwidth is, it doesn't. The actual number would also be, I imagine, variable as a minimum viable product for a minimum viable network.
Sure. I don't have the technical knowledge to, I could say like on a decentralization aspect, but really we need something to engage the people that have that knowledge.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to make a decision here myself, is what I'm saying. So I don't know who, like we could also tag, these developers, Zulus, yourself, everyone, these kind of 6 people, and kind of try to get some discussion going. And it could be, I don't think the non-technical people are going to try to supersede those individuals. Just because we do a poll doesn't mean that's set in stone either.
Right.
But I'm just trying to do something to get some discussion going,
Right. Right.
Because, from what I see, you're the only person of this group that's really showing up. So, yeah. Yeah. How do you?
I would be utterly unqualified to talk about how many coordinators. It's not my field at all. When it comes to all things crypto, I'm mostly here to pay attention and learn. I'm a technical person, but this is a new field for me. Although I'll still go back to my original thinking from a few weeks ago. What is to stop us from sticking renaming a couple of strings and identifiers in the Shimmer open source code and sticking it on a simple online server somewhere and turning it on.
Yeah.
No one's going to use it, or not many people are going to use it initially because not many people know it exists, but it would be live, just like that, or even as a test bed, but live. As the TAN testnet. What I'm having troubles understanding is why that hasn't already been done. Because, as you say, maybe it's related to the fact that no other developers are showing up to these meetings.
Yeah, I get that it seems simple to just change some stuff, but I think it's like a little bit more involved, and also, who would do it? Like at these meetings, no one has the technical ability to do it. So there's that. Yeah. And then the second is, though no one will be using the network much, it's still a network and there still will be some value there. So we wouldn't want just like a single coordinator person, that really is just like some person in the community that's like, hey, I'm a developer, let's do it, launch it. They're the coordinator.
On a private,
they can crash it at any time. So I think it's, who in the community can do it, who wants to do it, and can we get enough people to, again, have that trust that whoever is running these coordinators aren't the same people,
or ideally trustless, so that nobody, no individual can break it accidentally or on purpose. At any point. Exactly. Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
So definitely think, we're getting there. I'm impressed to see these 6, and and then all the other community people. So that's really good. So I think we're getting there. I do think that, the Tangle Pay team has got us here so far. So, I think they can do a bit of that work, but I think they, me personally would want more than just one single team, just more for the protection and to try to get more trust in there, even in the beginning stage.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, that's something that I saw here was just even, I think it was 57 people took was active in that poll. Now that could be, people with multiple discords and all that, but I think that's pretty good. That's a pretty good sign that there's some activity here, and to try to like take that and grow that and feed it and get it going more and more. And then, that then starts to bring people in, I think. But yeah. Yeah, and just
Understood.
my thought on the nonprofit ending with low liability protection. I think it certainly doesn't hurt, especially because that essentially protects the developers who do develop this. I could also see doing it without it. I don't think it's a big deal. I mean, yeah, so I saw someone say yesterday, like, what was it? It was like there's 2 million cryptos. I mean, it's just so insane how easy it is to spin up a crypto um, and a network. And, there's no way that anyone can go around trying to, uh, um, let's say, enforce taxes or whatever internationally, but when you're not really even registered in any country. But it's good to put it out there. It would probably slow things down a little bit. I think we could always, do it later. But it would just be good to get a pulse of, what people feel about it. Um, and I think that's it. I mean, I think if no one, if let's say we don't have a program, someone like try to take this position that's in Saphir's incentive draft, then it would probably be really good to just say, hey, these are the bounties, and maybe that's something we can get with um, someone from the Tangle Bait team to say, okay, what are the specific steps that we need to make to support this, to make a open and public GitHub safe, so no one can go in and change the code or anything. I think that would be the first step, and then we just decide in this group how much we're going to give them in TAN tokens. And we would put that out there and see if any developers want to jump on that for that incentive. And either they do or they don't. If they don't, then we may have to offer more. Does that seem like a good next step?
Well, it sounds
What do you
okay
think?
to me. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just wondering if I don't want to, if someone doesn't go for this position, I don't want us to get stuck. Um, so maybe, I'm gonna put it out there. I don't really have anything else. Let's see what we got here. Remix says good call on that. I think I think that will help us get going. Um, it's been a little tough without Saphir and Garrett here, but I think it's all good. Um, Edward, I know you probably want to get prepared for your next meeting. So if there aren't any other questions or concerns, I think we can kind of go with this. Um, I would say filibuster. Let's do these 3 polls, and and let's try to get people to talk about it. Some of those people that have the technical knowledge for the coordinator, and you said that, Edward, and I didn't even think about it. I don't even know if the IOTA coordinators are sort of beefy nodes in a sense. I know a lot of stuff. Sometimes nodes have to be, very expensive, and their CPU power and memory power and everything like that, and especially their bandwidth. So I don't know if there's those limitations or not. But for a network that's so new and isn't going to really be, um, you know, doing high.
Yeah, I wouldn't think that
transaction
initially
rates.
they'd need to be very powerful. I think, when you're talking about high transactions, high throughput, or like heavy mining, like the Bitcoin algorithms, then you're talking about some serious power. But we're talking about a coordinator, a server that processes transactions and does verifications of other transactions. I don't think it's going to be. Um, I think the whole point of the Tangle network was to minimize the processing effort, um, and minimize the bottlenecking. So I don't think it would require a lot just to get it going as a test net, or maybe you don't even want to call it test net, call it a dev net, which
Yeah,
basically goes up and down all the time and wipes
yeah,
and resets. And dev net is not designed to be reliable, not even as reliable as a test net, but at least exists. You can probably do that on a dual core or 4 core server with, I imagine, 4 or 8 gigs of RAM, and I don't
yeah,
imagine it would require a lot of hard drive space, um, because we're talking about really just the capacity required to store the code plus an empty chain.
right, right. Okay, cool. Well, let's see what happens next week, and hopefully we'll get one step closer. I think if no one
All right.
else has anything else, then we'll see everyone next week. Thanks for coming. And if you look up at the chat, uh, Edward is going to be doing a build sphere on his getting interviewed about the indie MMO Trappist one. So stick around in the next 12 minutes and join that. The link is in the chat here. All right, guys. See you next week. Take care. Bye.